Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Monatui, coach of the Tampa Bay, not the Tampa Bay Lux, right? Jesus Christ, how old am I? Coach of the Baltimore Orbeetles, and today I'm bringing you guys the team builder for week 2 of the APA. This week we're going up against, under the radar, Kelly, somebody I mentioned in many videos, somebody who's been in several videos, very good friend of mine, and similarly to Ben, also in my Fortnite group, but one up, the second best player in our group. Now, I apologize that this video is coming out a little bit late, like it's coming out the same day as the match. Basically, I've been playing COD Warzone like non-stop with a few friends. It just came out, would highly recommend, super fun. Super addicted to it, can't stop playing it. Every time I open my computer to record, it was just like, maybe I should play Warzone instead. But here we are, Team Builder. Also, you notice my audio is a little bit different. I'm plugging in the old blue snowball that used to be in my old videos. We're gonna see how well it works. It seemed like from the audio test I did that it would work pretty well, but either way, we're gonna try it out. So, this week, like I said, we're going up against Kelly, under the radar. His team is very scary. We're actually gonna be showing it now. Should be popping up on screen now, and I'll just go down the list. Kelly has G-Max Charizard, Cobalion, Drampa, Golurk, Hatterene, regular Kyurem, Alolan Persian, Torkoal, Venusaur, Vikavolt, and Xatu. So, Kelly has a horrifying... Charizard G-Max is a disgusting Pokemon. It being probably the best legal G-Max that can use Max Airstream is absolutely ridiculous. Like, it can get up to +1 speed. G-Max Wildfire is absurd. When you pair it with the Sun, there is no switching on Earth. And it gets grass coverage like Solar Beam to hit things like my Gigalith and Sandaconda, particularly my Gigalith, which resists its dual stab, but then obviously Max Overgrowth is going to hurt a lot, especially in the Sun, and then it's going to be doing even more once he sets up the terrain. No, he's not going to be doing more when he sets up the terrain because he's a flying type, but it's still going to hurt a crap load. Cobalion is decent versus my team, obviously kind of deals with my wall core of like Clefable, Gigalith, and Melmetal. Golurk, he does have a decently bulky ground type, so I can't just spam Bolt Beak the entire time. He also has Kyurem, which is very difficult to switch into. That thing's an absolute monster. And then Venusaur is also really scary. Like, the things that can kind of switch into it being, like, Melmetal, obviously, they resist the dual stab, get hit very hard by a Weather Ball in the Sun. Though I do have my checks to that, and that's something that we're going to be getting into right now. So, popping up on screen now, this is going to be the team. And this is the first thing that I came up with versus his team. And this was just really obvious to me because I need to switch into that Charizard. I need something that can take on the Kyurem decently well. I need something that can kind of take on basically all of the special attackers, and this mon is going to be it for sure. Max Special Defense, Assault Vest, Gigalith. The calcs on how bulky this thing are kind of ridiculous. I'm actually barely not 3-hit KO'd by Max Overgrowth, I believe, from Charizard, if he is not in the Sun, which he shouldn't be, because as soon as I send this in, I'm getting up the Sand, which is going to boost my Spadef and is going to remove his solar power, basically. So I'm able to take hits very, very well. When he is, even if he is Dynamax, Stone Edge is a guaranteed knockout, despite me being fully specially defensive, and Rock Tomb is close to knocking him out, and obviously with Rock Tomb, I'm able to lower his speed, which is really, really nice. Similarly to last week versus Ben, despite really not having much attack investment and even having less this week, these 4 moves hit his team like really, really hard. Like, when you look at his team, Cobalion's 2-hit KO'd by Earthquake, Drampa can be 2-hit KO'd by Stone Edge, Golurk can maybe take a few hits from it, but either way, if I hit it with a Rock Tomb on switch in, it'll be slower than things, and Earthquake will still do a decent chunk. Hatterene takes a lot from it, Kyurem takes a lot, Persian can kind of take it on, but it doesn't really do much back. Torkoal does a lot too, it even does a lot to Venusaur, Vikavolt, and Xatu. Like, Rock is just really spammable versus his team. Quake Edge, in general, is really spammable versus his team. Obviously, Cobalion resists Rock, but like I said, I have the Earthquake for that. But yeah, Gigalith, it's a really obvious ring on my part, but it's just so incredibly useful versus him. It gets rid of the Sun, it takes hits from everything on his team, I can slow things down as I please. It's a G-Max Charizard switch-in, which doesn't exist, essentially. This is like the only one in human existence, but here it is. We're bringing it. Hopefully it'll put in work. Next up, we're bringing another Assault Vest mon, and this is going to be Hitmonchan. So, looking at his team, I was thinking, not only is he very specially offensive, but his special offense is really, really powerful. Like Venusaur in the Sun, crazy powerful. Vikavolt, extremely powerful. Kyurem, ridiculously powerful. Even though we could bring DD or physical or mixed or whatever, special attack with freeze dry, still really, really powerful. Gmax Charizard, super powerful. So I wanted something that could kind of take on those special hitters, and I also didn't want all of the special hits to be sponged by Gigalith because I need to keep that thing healthy. Like, I don't want him to pressure my Gigalith too much because it's a very important member of my team. So I wanted something else that could also take special hits pretty well and deal out a decent amount of damage, and that's going to be the Hitmonchan, as you can see. This is going to be my initial switch into Kyurem. I have stab, priority, and stab and priority to hit the Kyurem, which is really nice. And obviously, I'll be able to take whatever he wants to go for. I can live 2 Specs freeze drives from it, which is really nice. I can potentially recover with Drain Punch. Same thing with the Drampa. I can switch into any hit and then potentially Drain Punch all my HP back. This is also really nice because if he goes Golurk on a predicted Ice Punch, I'll be able to weaken that severely from my Dracozolt. Hitting it with 1 Ice Punch should put it in range of Dragon Claw, which is going to be really, really useful. And overall, Hitmonchan is just kind of like a nice little, I'll say, tank for this week. We're not running all that much speed, but it's going to be able to take hits and dish them out really hard, similarly to Gigalith. That's a big theme of this team, is being able to take hits very well and dish them out very, very powerfully, like Gigalith, Hitmonchan, and Melmetal and such. By the way, as you can see, no Melmetal this week. I'll explain why now. I won't explain why later. There's no point. He has Sun. Metal hurt by Fire. Fire move strong in Sun. That's all. Next up, we have a Choice Scarf Haunter, Timid max speed. This way, we are able to... also, by the way, this speed on Hitmonchan allows me to outspeed... what was it that I wanted to outspeed? You know, I completely... I think it was, like, uninvested Venusaur. Yeah, uninvested Venusaur and, like, maybe, like, slightly speed-invested Golurk and such. You know, that much speed. It's a good amount of speed to potentially outspeed, like, a bulky Venusaur, and it'll also outspeed, like, a speedy Golurk. But anyway... Scarf Haunter. Very, very useful versus his team for numerous reasons. 1. It speed ties at worst with the Kyurem, which is a very difficult thing for me to... It's not too hard for me to check offensively, but it can be very nice if I weaken a little bit and I can just knock it out with the Scarf Sludge Wave. That would be fantastic. Also, Ghost versus his team is extremely spammable. His only switch-ins are Drampa and Persian, neither of which really want to switch into a Sludge Wave. And his only real Sludge Wave switch-in on his team is Cobalion, which does not want to switch into a Shadow Ball. So Haunter offensively is really, really nice versus his team. Haunter also outspeeds a Golurk after a Rock Polish. It also outspeeds Modest Charizard after an Airstream. It also is not affected by Sticky Web if he decides to bring that on his Vikavolt. And overall, it's very good versus his team. It's a potential late-game sweeper. Destiny Bond is there because of things like Charizard, for example. If it's my Haunter versus Charizard, I can potentially just click Destiny Bond. I'll outspeed him because I'm Choice Scarf. If he clicks any attacking move, essentially, he'll knock me out and thus knocking himself out as well. And I'll happily take that trade of getting rid of Gmax Charizard because that thing is an absolute monster. Also gives me a nice little fighting type switch in, so Cobalion can't just spam close combat versus me, which is nice because the 6 that I'm bringing, or the other 5 that I'm bringing, are a little bit weak to it, obviously Haunter being the only immunity/resist. So, there you have it. There's your Haunter. Next up, got big old Dracozolt right here. Absolute monster, huge threat. As you can see, we're running Life Orb plus Sub, which I'm not a huge fan of doing, but I didn't need any other moves versus him other than Bolt Beak and Dragon coverage. Like, Bolt Beak is stronger to Cobalion than something like Earthquake or Low Kick, and when you look at his team, like, Bolt Beak is absolutely ridiculous. I could have brought something like Fire Fang to maybe hit Venusaur a little bit harder in the sun, or to maybe hit Vikavolt a little bit harder in the sun, but Sub is also kind of nice, just because I can potentially sub up versus things like Kyurem that are switching out, or something like Drampa that wants to switch out. Depending on his Vikavolt set, probably not, because it has Bug Buzz. Suppose he's running like only an electric type attack on Vikavolt, I'll be able to sub up versus that. I can also potentially sub up on a potential Sleep Powder from Venusaur, Torkoal that doesn't have Earth Power, etc. So that's just why we have sub. But then when you look at his team, Bolt Beak absolutely destroys it. Like, Oko's Charizard, does a lot of damage to Cobalion. I need to get that maybe to about 60% to guaranteed knock it out, but it does a ton to Cobalion. Drampa, I have the Dragon Claw and Outrage for. Golurk, Dragon Claw, Outrage. Hatterene, Bolt Beak as well. Kyurem, Adamant Life Orb, Dragon Claw, Outrage. Persian, I can hit with Bolt Beak and do a ton of damage, and there isn't too much it can do back to me aside from Foul Play. Torkoal can switch into one, but it doesn't really want to take it, and especially if rocks are up and he's gonna get 2 KO'd, which is really nice. Offensive, Venusaur does not want to switch into Bolt Beak. Same thing with Vikavolt, Xatu. Just a huge threat versus his team, versus a lot of different teams. Tier 2 Dracozolt is insane with the stand up, but there isn't too much else to go over with this Pokemon. Dracozolt's crazy. There it is. Oh, and the speed investment on this is to outspeed his Charizard after a max Airstream, which is really in the sand, which is really useful. I outspeed Charizard. I outspeed +1 Charizard by 1 point, which could potentially come into play because if he kills something with max Airstream, and the sand is up, I can go right out into my Dracozolt and just click Bolt Beak and knock it out, which would be lovely. So that's our Dracozolt. Next, because again, I'm afraid of Sun and I want to keep that as far away from me as possible, we're going to be bringing our second Sand Setter as well, being the Sandaconda with Sand Spit. The biggest reason this is here, like I mentioned, is because the Sand Spit ability, like being able to throw this into attack, have it die, and then get rid of sand completely, that's going to be really useful to me. God forbid Gigalith goes down early, I at least have another Sand Setter so that the Sun Sweepers don't completely ruin me. But I'm also bringing Sandaconda because I needed a Stealth Rocket versus his team. His Charizard cannot run Heavy Boots because it's Gigantamax, so being able to get 50% on that instantly is going to be really useful. It also kind of threatens Hatterene. If I hit it with an Earthquake, it's going to be doing a decent amount of damage. He does also have Xatu, but as you can see, we are running the Rock Tomb for that as well, which is super effective, which is really nice. And either way, like, Xatu coming in could potentially be easy to predict, so if I go out to my Haunter and threaten it with the Shadow Ball, that'll be really nice for me. Or go out to my Dracozolt, I can potentially get a kill. So, I really don't mind, I don't mind bringing Stealth Rock on this because it deals with his 2 Magic Bounce users. We also have Glare on this, just because Glare is a broken move, essentially. Like, if I Glare the Charizard, the Cobalion, the Drampa, anything, doesn't matter if it's faster or slower than me, I'll be able to just potentially Parahack somebody to death, and given Kelly's luck the last few days, might be worth it. But that's our Sandaconda. Did I mention? Right, so Gigalith is running AV to take hits, so I can't run Rocks on Gigalith, so I ran Rocks on Sandaconda, and I felt like Sandaconda had a better matchup than Clefable this week. Like, Clefable gets destroyed by Charizard, gets destroyed by Cobalion, Specs Drampa destroys it, Golurk has Heavy Slam, etc. Like, Clefable wasn't super happy with the matchup. And last but not least, we have Reboot. Now, if you're unaware, Libero is legal on Reboot. It works just the same as Protein, which is really nice, which makes all of my moves stab and whatnot, which is really cool. Flare Blitz, Low Kick, Double Edge, and U-Turn. Double Edge does about 70% to non-G-Max Charizard, which is really nice damage, After Rocks, if his Charizard is not G-Max, I will be able to knock it out with a Double Edge and outspeed it if he is modest, which is going to be really nice for me. We're also running U-Turn for Initiative. He does have a few switch-ins to Reboot, namely, potentially the Golurk, although it doesn't really want to switch in on a Flare Blitz, but namely things like the Torkoal. So, being in versus something like Torkoal, I can U-Turn on out, potentially gain myself some initiative, and we're going to be good. Low Kick hits Kyurem very hard, as well as Cobalion, and it hits Cobalion just as hard as Flare Blitz, so if I'm in front of the Cobalion, I can click Low Kick and not have to take all that Flare Blitz recoil. I'm also Choice Scarf, because I'll be able to outspeed the Charizard before it goes for a max Airstream. I'll be able to outspeed Venusaur. Obviously, if the sun is not up, I won't be able to outspeed a Scarf Kyurem. Unfortunately, I'm 1 point slower, but I will be able to, if he's not Scarfed, I'll be able to outspeed it and knock it out with or do a ton of damage with the Low Kick. Overall, like, he does not switch into his own, to fire moves very well, and if he does have the sun up in his favor, if the sun is on the field, Flare Blitz is going to be doing even more, and there really isn't anything on his team that wants to take a Flare Blitz in the sun. Like, if Rocks throw up Charizard's never switching in, Drampa doesn't want to switch in onto that. Just a very powerful Pokemon. especially since I get stabbed on everything. The speed tier is nice versus him. The initiative is nice versus him. It's just a good mon all around versus his team. And I'm not sure if he's going to be expecting it because I brought both my... and I'm bringing both my NFEs. Hitmonchan's low tier. Sandaconda is kind of low tier. The only higher tier Pokemon on this team are Gigalith and Dracozolt. But either way, I think this team of 6 is going to be good enough to beat whatever team of 6 he decides to bring. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Subscribe if you did enjoy. Definitely check out my opponent and the rest of the coaches in the description below. And I'll see you in the game, which should be coming like hours after this is posted. So, bye!